Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Lot Pod, Leeds Rhinos, Lot 17A podcast, which is proudly brought to you by ACDMB, who are a branding and creative design agency based in Farsley, Leeds. They create standout brands. So if any companies out there need a new brand, a logo refresh, a brand refresh, just get in touch with ACD&B. Thanks as always to ACDMB for sponsoring the Lot Pod. We really appreciate it. This is the match review panel for Catalans versus Leeds Rhinos. Joining me for this one, as always, is Reese from the Owl and Fleece. How are you, mate?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Still on a high from yesterday evening, and obviously slightly delayed today, but still on a high after the England women doing what the men can do for 54 years. So
absolutely, congratulations. Just as we record this now, we've just finished watching England versus Germany football, but they've just won the European Championship. So well done to the women. Yeah, the men can never do it, but they're doing us proud. I just feel like, on a bit of a tangent, that women's sport at the moment is on such a lift. It's like, you know, the Rhinos women's side and the football side and everything else. Can the women's side, rugby league side for the World Cup, learn something from this win race? Can they be inspired? Should they be inspired?
I certainly hope so. We're saying off air that, you know, it's no lie to that football is the biggest sport in the country, and for the women's team to do that major tournament, it's a massive lift for women's sport in general in the country. I hope it raises more awareness for the Rugby League World Cup with the women coming up. I'd love to see them sell out Wembley, but I think that's probably unrealistic at this moment in time. But I certainly hope that they get record crowds and good crowds to back
and ride this wave,
of this wave
feeling from the
pioneers. And I hope hopefully the women can follow up in October, November time in the Rugby League.
Absolutely, I agree. So well done, England's women, and well done, Leeds Rhinos. Just before we kind of delve into the nitty gritty of this outstanding win, am I right in saying you're based in up Skipton way?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So you're up there. I'm Brighouse. So I'm just thinking ahead. Like, if you make your way down and pick me up, we can just slide onto M62 to Old Trafford that way. Is that?
I think you can come over to mine and you come over towards Burnley and drop down in that way. So
we could go that way. Come in.
To actually skip the M62 traffic, which is much quicker way to get to.
That's true. Yeah, actually, if I pick you up and then we make us way to Old Trafford that way, that might, because it's kind of going. Yeah, you're right. Up and. But we'll sort that out anyway.
We'll work it out. We've got plenty of time to work it out.
We shouldn't have said that on air, because we are definitely going to Old Trafford. And again, before we get into this amazing Leeds win, I feel we owe a Lot Pod apology. I think let's lay the cards out. You know, we were wrong. We'll admit we were wrong. We wrote off the pink kit, Reese.
I was skeptical. I was 50-50. I think I put two tweets out in about 2 seconds of each other, replying to someone saying, one was like, "Oh, we're wearing the pink kit. Looks on our side," and my other tweet was, "But maybe pink doesn't work in France." And I was like, I had 50-50. And then when we're 30 points to 6 down and a red card comes in, going, "Yeah, pink in France does not bloody work." And how wrong we were.
The pink is back. I mean, we doubted it. We knew it's magic, and yet it just is to amaze us once more. Make no mistake, it's this kit. It has to be.
It has to be.
There's no. I think the heat, the squad we had in Toulouse, it was an off day. But this pink kit now, the Lot Pod's pink kit freight train. I'm driving it again. It's in full. It's in turbo. I mean, I get to the stage now where again, this is another apology from me. I mean, I hated this kit. Can you see where I'm going with this? I hated it.
I still don't like it. I don't like the look of it.
I'm telling you. I love it now. It's got me. It's got me. The pink kit.
You'll be lucky, because no doubt there'll be a 6 a.m. discount offer tomorrow morning about the pink kit.
On the back of these results. Code. Yeah. I mean, no, I'm in love with it. I mean, is it worse? I tweeted this yesterday on the Lot Pod Twitter account. Is it worse in that we couldn't watch it? Because sometimes, to me, whenever I'm watching a close game, whether it's cricket, Leeds United, Leeds Rhinos, I really struggle to watch it, if that makes sense. I'll be pacing
Yeah.
around. Are
Oh,
you
I feel
comfortable
like
in
I've just been
watching
doing
games like
downstairs
this?
now for the last 10 minutes of that game. But it was probably I'm because I did put a poll out of it. What is that the best result of the season versus the Wigan game? But I'll say the results later. But it was such an amazing result. But I was so gutted that one, I couldn't even watch it, and then two, this is no offense to the people that were doing the stream for the radio, but it just wouldn't work. It was in and out every 2 seconds. So having to follow it on Twitter like this, especially when the
Yeah.
tries kept coming, and they're going, "Is that try or is that another one?" So I had to,
Yeah.
and I eventually just coped with the commentary for the last 10 minutes, and it was and I just about made out penalty. I was like, "What?" and just made about Caesar, and I just made out the important bits. But yeah, it was. I'm just gutted. I mean, for the people that are over there, what a game you must have witnessed and what a
Oh
weekend
my
you
God,
must have
they
had.
deserve that.
You know, you've had a beautiful
Absolutely.
weekend in France in the sun and you've watched an incredible game of rugby. So money well spent. But for the rest of us, I think it feels a bit gutting that obviously we've got the full replay now on YouTube that you can now watch. It just feels a bit gutting that we just couldn't watch that live.
I mean,
At the same time, though, I'm quite happy because my stress levels would have been at an all-time high, I think.
I can't decide if my stress levels were worse because I couldn't watch it, or because sometimes when I do watch things, like I won't watch it, I'll be pacing or doing anything else, but it's like on, but it's in the back of my mind because I just can't handle it. That going to Golden Point and things. But I mean, when we spoke about Sky loads and Sky's coverage of the game, but will they be kicking themselves that game wasn't shown live yesterday?
I think Sky will, but I think Laura was pointing out this is more to do with French TV or whatever. But I think any case, like I think there was only 2 games on this weekend, Thursday, Friday. There's only 2 games on next weekend. We've had a shorter football season, break of football because of the World Cup.
The World Cup.
You've had a window of opportunity really here to put more games on telly and grow the game. This is the window that we have every season, and you just think they've put more games on, at least just for this period, because there's a bit of cricket on, a bit of the F1. But again, the Saints game today, Salford beating the smashing Saints, and I'd love to watch that. But I generally think if Channel, I hope, sorry, this is probably more hope. I really hope Channel 4 see that their numbers that they had, and I hope they pick up because they were playing these Saturday games. So I really hope that they start picking, even if it's just a Saturday game every week. Just more coverage needs to be happening because that probably was one of the best games of in the Super League era, and it wasn't live.
Wasn't televised anywhere.
And then when you watch the games back and the highlights, there's no commentary on the back of it either. So you just don't get the same. You just don't get the same feeling, the Ryan Hall try when you watch that and you hear the commentary and them screaming Ryan Hall down the touchline. You just, even with the highlights package, you don't get that. So they've missed a massive. Whoever was responsible for it in France or Sky Sports, they've missed a massive trick here.
It's a massive
as well. Sam Tonkin's got a last-minute drop goal against Huddersfield last week. And they missed a cracker there as well. So, yeah, I hope they're gutted and I hope they learn.
It is classic rugby league. This, we've had 2 games in an expansion team there that were easily televised, and yet they aren't.
Yeah,
and then that's like you say, 2 back-to-back games in Catalan that have just completely gone under the radar. There's no story there, really, is there? Now, if it were on Sky, they'd have had the coverage. It could have been on Sky Sports News. It were there, but every time rugby league just shoots its in foot.
Yeah. I was listening to Barry's podcast that he did with him, and he was saying that every 6 games of the weekend, there's normally 2 brilliant ones, 2 normal ones, and then 2 a bit mediocre. In recent weeks, that's not been the case. I think there's been more good and great games than there has been, poor games to watch. So, yeah, I just think it needs upping. Plus, I'm bored. When I'm playing Football Manager and I want to watch some rugby, it's not the same. I just like watching sport, and watching Burnley v Huddersfield didn't quite hit it.
No, it doesn't. And you're right in saying today as well, as we record this, there was that window of time where Salford Saints kicked off at 3, I think.
Yeah.
That game could have been on as a taster for everybody into the Women's Euros final. There's a window there for the opportunity to sneak in before that. But anyway, we moan about Sky and rugby league coverage, and we always will until it's better, because it deserves better. The game does deserve better. Positives. This whole game's a positive, Reece. I think.
Oh, is it? We were 30 points to 6 down and we got a red card.
Yeah, we'll forget about that.
I mean, I knew the fact. Obviously, they obviously clearly knew we were in the pink kit. Let's give them a bit of a head start. Let's make it a game.
They knew, yeah. Catalan were aware this pink kit has points in it.
So no, we were aware. We just let them have, let them have 30
Yeah,
points.
yeah, let them go for it.
We'll close it. Pryor goes, yeah, you know what? I don't really fancy this heat today. I'll come off. But no, I think positives wise, the reaction to the red card is unbelievable. Without being able to watch the full game yet, I don't know, because I know Rowan Smith said the scoreline didn't quite reflect it at the time. It was quite close, and it's quite hard to believe that when they're 30 points to 6 down. And I said last week, it was really weird that Jake Mamo's sin binning at Castleford galvanised them against Hull. Yeah, and we get one beyond then, and we scored in the end. I think it was 26 points in 26 minutes up till 80 minutes, and then to go on and win it in Golden Point, which I don't think we've lost a game in Golden Point. It was obviously drew against Huddersfield, but
we drew against Huddersfield. Beat.
I can't recall a Golden Point loss. Obviously, we've got the one that the Brad Dwyer did, the 40-metre drop goal.
Yeah, the cast. I think we're unbeaten in Golden Point, and then we beat Hull at Magic, didn't we?
Yeah, we beat Huddersfield in 2020. So, yeah, but positives, that reaction to that, I kind of went under the radar that Myler got a hat trick. I kind of really thought about that.
I've got that written down here, Myler.
Going back, I was like, but just that team spirit, that fight, that style of rugby to come back, that style of rugby that we love at Leeds as well, that we want to see, and to, for that, to score 30 points in 30 minutes with a man down is incredible.
I think it proves the contrast between. So I can't remember who tweeted it earlier, but someone said that game under Richard Agar is, it's gone. There's no fight. There's, it's just an absolute mauling. Catalan probably would have got 50 easily. So I think it proves that they are fighting for Rowan in every decimal of the whole being. I mean, I was talking to you and the other guys in our WhatsApp group. I think it was 28-6 or something, and we're all just saying, we're all just saying, "Oh my God, this is awful." We won't really expect anything from the game, but then, to say, "Oh yeah, it's awful," just write it off, and then it's slowly but surely just what?
Just kept creeping back in it, and
creeping and creeping, and you just
we're going to go try by try, and I've got the minutes here that when they were scored and stuff, it was just.
Unbelievable.
It's quite unbelievable to see on my Twitter feed, just scrolling like that, going, "There's another one! There's another one!"
And I was just completely gobsmacked. I still am in a way, that we actually managed to do it. It's like, because Catalan away is a tough game for everyone. It always has been. It always will be. We're like probably the hardest away game, and to go down to 12 and to come back, I just think the spirit and the fight that they've shown for Rowan is at this time of the year. Everyone knows how delusional I am. Reece can speak for himself, but I just think.
I think the whole of Twitter was delusional last night.
Yeah,
and still is today.
You get into
great interactions today. It's been brilliant.
You get into that playoff form, and I'm not saying too much, but. Yes, we are going all the way and winning this one. Where do you want to start with this? Do you want to start with
Let's go with the stats, and then we'll go try by try. So, team-wise, that's the most offloads we've made in one game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was 18 in one game. And
18, let me write that down.
18, yeah. So, and I believe there was one, I think probably 3 of our tries, maybe 4. You could probably count down towards one of the offloads in a build-up play. So they kind of came from that. Interesting, the next 2 highest totals for offloads in a game highest are 17 and 16, which are both in the Rowan Smith era.
Yeah.
So we are bringing more of the offloads back. It was also the second highest amount of tackle busts we've had in one game this season. So we had 44. Again, the next 2 highest totals, which are 51 and 39, are also in the Rowan Smith era as well.
Unbelievable.
But on a really weird flip side, that was the second lowest average carry we've had this season.
Really?
Yeah, 6.2 meters is the second lowest, which we've done quite a few games this season. Like there's 6.1's our lowest, and we've got about 4 or 5 games at 6.2. But yeah, and then players wise, meters, we've got 3 players that got over 100. I will be starting the Cam Smith fan club because now everyone's
Is that
bought
official
into
now?
him. Yeah, well, now everyone's bought into him, and now he's not underrated. He is the business. I might as well get it started.
We should make some badges.
Yeah, I should do. It's going to
Should
be the
make
badge.
some
It's going to be
badges,
him
shouldn't we?
handing off Sam Tompkins. That's going to be the badge.
We'll get. You said it, didn't you? Earlier on Twitter.
ZB Creative.
ZB Design, ZB Creative. Yeah, we'll get them
he's
to
like my
create
tweet, so I'm hoping he's going to do it. But meter-wise,
we'll
Smith
do
got
some badges.
134 meters for 22 carries. We'll have a bit more of an open love session with Cam Smith a bit later. Newman got 111 off 15 carries. Aledzki got 100 off 11 carries. Aledzki put a big shift in again. He had the best average carry with 9.
He is our packing Reese. He is a one man.
Yeah, and I was looking at the interchanges. Let me just look at the interchanges because the interchanges were quite strange. So he played the most minutes out of the props, I believe. So I think he played. Have a look now. He only played 40 minutes, would you believe? But Bodine played 36. Donaldson played 33. Pryor played 22, but that's because he was off the pitch.
Yeah, Pryor.
Gannon played 19. But Aledzki came off on 33 minutes. He came back on 66, came off again on 72, and came back on again on 83. So Rowan obviously had this idea that he was just going to keep rotating Aledzki in and out.
Just keep giving him a breather. Yeah.
Point, a breather. But no, great game for Aledzki. And then tackle-wise, a fair few players put a shift in, but the usual player was leading the charge, which was Bentley.
Bentley.
He had 46 tackles. I'm going to talk about him in a bit of a second. Thompson followed up with 36, Martin 36, O'Connor 33, Donaldson 31. And it's really worth noting that Thompson made 36 tackles in 36 minutes. O'Connor made 33 in 47 minutes, and Donaldson made 31 in 33 minutes. So when they were on, they were putting a big shift on in defence. Now, tackle breaks wise, and I'm not sure if this is right, and it's quite hard without watching the game, but obviously when I watch the game back, I'll confirm this. We had 44 tackle breaks, which means they missed 44 tackles in the whole game. Liam Tyndall had 12 of them. Wow. He had over the quarter of the tackle breaks, or the missed tackles, were on Liam Tyndall. Oh my God. He had 12. He only carried the ball 11 times. So every time he carried a ball, he made a tackle bust.
He made a tackle bust. This kid's unbelievable.
So, but he didn't make that many meters, interesting, but he always was making him a miss or whatever. But I think I've seen a couple of highlights on it, but I need to watch the whole game just to kind of
get a feel for
see that and how it works. But I think that's the highest we've had as a player this season as well.
Superstar in the making.
Yeah, Smith got 6 tackle busts. Dwyer and Hardacre got 5. Hardacre actually averages 5.5 tackle busts a game, which is actually highest in the squad at the moment. It's something he's very good at. And then, obviously, we've got Myler with the hat-trick. Caesar, Dwyer and Sutcliffe got theirs. Sutcliffe scored a try in each of his last 5 appearances.
Last 5 games, yeah.
So he's really finding some form at the moment. And Dwyer has done the same in his last 3 as well. Dwyer scored in his last 3.
Yeah, Dwyer has.
And then assist-wise, you've got 5 assists, despite the fact we scored, I think, 7 or 6 tries. 6 tries, I think it was. Hardacre, Caesar, Bentley, Martin and Smith all got credited for assist. But the player I would normally highlight is Cam Smith, and what the player I actually want to highlight is James Bentley.
Yeah.
He's now had his longest stretch in the team without a ban.
He has. Well done, James.
He has had 1 yellow in that period, which was that silly one at Saints. I'm happy to let that slide.
Yeah.
But in each of those games, he's led the tackle account, including a monster 62 tackles against Saints and 74 against Toulouse. He's only conceded 5 penalties in this stretch as well.
Yeah.
And they were actually in the first 2 of those games. So in the last 4 games, he hasn't conceded a penalty.
No, it's tightened him up massively.
So prior to that Saints game, he'd conceded 11 penalties in 7 games. He's only conceded 5 in the last 6. And obviously he's contributed with 2 tries. One of those magnificent line he took in that game. And he got an assist. So I think it's kind of gone under the radar for me because only when I looked at it today and then I realised, hang on a bit, James Bentley's, he's quietly gone about his business. We hadn't seen him get fired for anything, And knowing my luck now, I've said that there's going to be a tackle that's going to get picked up on the match review panel tomorrow, and the stat is going to be completely useless. But I really wanted to highlight James Bentley because of that, because I think we've asked for him to have greater discipline and have that leadership in defence. And
precisely,
is this another player that Rowan Smith is managing to turn around? And
absolutely, this is. We on this pod, we've always said we love him. We just, me especially, we need him to tighten up his game and be the James Bentley we all want him to be. And this is it. I mean, the fact it's gone under the radar, his work rate, and people that really is testament to him. It's just what people expect.
Yeah.
It's just become exactly who knew he could be. We mentioned it. I can't remember what podcast it was, that we want him to be that leader in defence. He's doing it.
Yeah.
His tackles he's leading the tackle. He's leading the defence. He has just become, under Rowan, exactly the player we wanted him to be. Exactly the player we want him to be. And it's great to see, because being a local Leeds lad, there's nothing you want more than a local lad coming good and kind of being. Cause he's us, isn't he? He's that person from the stand making it onto the field, and he's leading the line perfectly. And I think more of it, please. Yeah, it's been awesome.
There's a couple of players that are in that category of form players that have probably been turned around in recent weeks, and I want to give Rowan credit, because again, that's someone else I'm madly in love with at the moment, is Rowan Smith.
Yeah.
Sutcliffe is one of those players, and there's a question about him in the mailbag, so I won't talk too much about him. Cam Smith is just brilliant, and I love how much people are seeing it. I mean, that try, we'll talk about the try breakdown in a minute, but it was brilliant, and it wasn't forward for anyone asking, by the way. But, it
never is when
he's there. Dwyer's playing really well at the moment. He's really injecting life when he comes into the pitch. He's scoring. So, and there's a couple of players that really are finding form and really are stepping up.
Playoff time as well. So it's a good time to find some form.
It is a good time. So try by try then, because we thought we'd do try by try for once, because no one's really watched the game apart from the crowd that went over. So I got the first try, which was Sutcliffe's try. So I think it went from left to right. Pryor took it forward, and then O'Connor went left. He gave it to Martin. He kind of beat a man, just offloaded it. Sutcliffe. I don't know if you saw this, but he somehow managed to pass the ball around his body before he put it on the ground. Remember do that? Remember a kid used to do that session, you have to go like that with the ball.
Yeah.
To pass it around.
Kept hold of it.
He actually did that and scored.
You meant to do that as well.
Yeah, it was brilliant. So somehow we did that. So that was on the 40th minute. And then in the 54th minute, we get the red card. 2 minutes later, the Lord and Saviour, the best player in the Rhinos team at the moment, Cam Smith.
Went
round Cassiano with a bit of ease, to be fair. I don't know if you've seen the highlight, but Michael McAmorum literally just goes, oh, there he goes.
There he is.
He's walking.
Just stop him.
Just to bother. And then Tompkins comes up. He puts a little step on, hand off. Tompkins gets on his arse. And then Myler was on his shoulder. Someone else was on his shoulder as well. Did you notice who else was bursting a gut to get up there on his shoulder?
Bodine Thompson.
Good old Bodine Thompson, yeah.
Bodine Thompson.
He put in a right effort to get there, but obviously it went to Myler. I think
he kind of knew he was going to get it, but he was there.
Yeah, I have to admit, Myler's been taking lessons from Danny Maguire, because he was on the shoulder for a lot of these tries. Yeah, well, so that was a second try on 56. In the 59th minute, it's only 3 minutes later. I think it's Hardacre's.
God, I could listen to this all day.
Hardacre, he somehow got 3 or 4 players around. I think it's Hardacre. Spills the offload back to us somehow. Smith sprints forward, takes the tackles, but gets quite a bit of meters. Caesar gets the ball on the left, and then he chips it back towards the posts. And Myler gets it under the post, whether that was scripted or not, but great understanding between those two. I think so, yeah. After that, Tompkins gets 2 points on the 63rd minute, and then in the 68th minute, Caesar, Smith, I'm trying to do this now. Caesar and Smith get the ball to Bentley. Bentley breaks through, shows his budgie smuggles off as well at the same time. Well, he actually got a pass away with his shorts down by his ankles. Again, Myler was on the shoulder. Did you say he's got a nice ass?
Yeah, he's got a nice.
I was just going to breeze past that for a second, but no, you said he's got a nice. Yeah, and then Myler was on his shoulder, which was Myler's hat trick. So that's the point where it went under the radar for me. So that was 68th minute. 73rd minute, Smith's got tackled, and then only Brad Dwyer can tell us if he actually knew what he was doing at this point, but he does a pirouette at one point.
It literally, like jumps and...
Yeah, I got lost watching him do it. Caesar
we do call him, or I have called him, frog in a blender. That really was some frog in a blender action.
He kicks it through, and it's perfectly timed kick, great chase, and he gets it through. And then the 77th minute, Martin gets the penalty to make it 30-all. I think we're missing, just before the 80th minute, Drinkwater tries a drop goal and it goes closer to the touching line, I think, than it does up to the post.
Yeah, shanked it completely.
And then in the 84th minute, Caesar was shaped in for a drop goal. Dwyer thinks, no, I don't want to do that. Takes it forward. offloads it to Martin. Offloads it to Hardacre. And what I like about Hardacre, he just takes a second to think. He doesn't pass it straight away.
He seems to have the ball for like an eternity.
He does, doesn't he? In that mind, is he thinking, do I do the drop goal?
Is it me?
Do I do this now? And then...
am I the hero?
Yeah, and then he realised he wasn't. He gave it to Caesar, who spotted the gap and went under. So that was in the 84th minute. And to be fair, it was someone that tweeted it out and said that if you notice after every one of those tries, there's not massive celebration until the last one. Every time they scored a try, it was get the ball, gone over, back again.
Going.
It was
not enough.
It was brilliant. So let us know if people like that try breakdown. If you want us to do more future, I'm not doing the opposition tries because I don't want to do that.
What? Who cares about them?
No, who cares? It was great.
What I loved about the Caesar winner was after the game. Obviously, he spoke to the club on official Twitter channel, and he broke it down, and I loved it how he said. Because they kind of said, can you talk us through your winner? And first of all, he spoke about his first drop goal attempt that he missed.
Yeah.
So he kind of said, they rushed me really well. As soon as he got it, because they knew he were going to try and get the one for the win. And he breaks it down and says, no, they rushed me really well. So when it came to him for the winner, and Hardacre had the ball, he had it in his mind that they rushed him really well in his first attempt. He knew to step. So I think it's Arthur Morg who comes flying out to him. It's the number one. I think it's Arthur Morg. So as soon as he stepped in, he knew straight away, I'm going to score it. And I loved that kind of breakdown from him. That he could have just easily said, "Oh yeah, I just stepped him and took the winner." But the way he broke it down for us, I love that kind of.
See the longer highlights that Lee's put up on YouTube. It goes like a 12-minute highlight, and it's we've got under. Caesar scored. We scored the post. I think it's Laurie that pointed it out to me. You're in the corner, we're all looking up at the Leeds fans. I'm like, yeah, go on, get in. And all of a sudden, this lady comes in a pink Rhino shirt on the ground floor, looking quite bewildered because I wasn't quite sure why. I wasn't sure if she knew what happened as she come down, or if she's come down and just realised that we're all celebrating and like that. But it was a really well taken try. To be fair from Caesar, just composure from both him and Hardacre in that situation on that last try.
Yeah, really, like you said, Zach kind of holds it for what feels ages and then just pings it across to Caesar, who works his magic and gets the winner. I feel like we've kind of glossed over Cam Smith.
We're not glossed over. I'm going to come back to it and say which was your favourite try, and then I'm going to go. It's obviously the one that Cam Smith set up.
Yeah, absolutely, because there's nothing sweeter in rugby league than someone giving Sam Tompkins a really nice handoff and just kind of watching him just. He just falls away.
Yeah. I mean, you have to admit the first attempts at attack at the line from Cassian and McAloran, there's someone else involved there. Like, I don't know whether Catalan had given up. And I love the fact we've done this to Catalan because they're criminal for just slowing the game down.
Yeah.
Taking breaks. Remember, it was the longest game ever at Headingley this year. And it was far too cold for them to do that.
And it was freezing.
That wasn't fair. But, Rowan Smith alluded to his post-match. He was saying he was just really frustrated how slow it was.
How slow it was.
Making the game down. So, but yeah, they were obviously round. I don't know if they'd already thought they'd won at this point because that was literally just after the red card. They weren't switched on, but he just took advantage and then still Pete Tompkins and then bring on the 2-on-1 with Myler at the end. It's brilliant to see him do it.
He's absolutely banging form, and I love not just Leeds, but I love it when you see a bigger man kind of square someone up, knowing that I'll just push you over. You're not going to stop me. And for Cam to think that of, because Sam Tompkins is a great player. I know Leeds fans kind of don't think well of him because of previous in the past, but he is a good player. And I think that kind of shows the form Cam's in. The fact that he's squared Tompkins up and gone, I'll just slide you off me. You're not good enough. Get off. Just get out of my way. I thought that kind of says more about where Cam is at the moment and his form than it does Tompkins, if that makes sense. Now,
Sam just commented on YouTube and he makes a very, very good point. Reece has converted 28 of his last 30 attempts. He didn't miss a kick yesterday. That you don't win. That game's not won if he doesn't make all those kicks.
It's becoming. It's a good point, Sam. And I think it's becoming for the biggest compliment I think we can pay Reece Martin is it's becoming boring watching him his goal kicks. I thought that they got a period where when we had Kev, like when we'd scored the try, you could almost speak to the person next to you. You could speak to your mate. You could nip off to the loo, but you didn't have to wait for the conversion, if that makes sense, because it became just automatic almost that he was going to.
I've told you before, I actually quite like it because obviously my name's Reese. So when he gets it, everyone shouts Reese. It just does my self-confidence quite a lot. So I quite like it. Because there was one game this year, which was round 14, where he missed 5 out of 9. And so whatever game we scored a load of tries in. But yeah, since that game, he's had 30. He's made 32, and he's only missed 4. So he's really turned it on since that game.
He's banging form. I mean, we talk about should we sign Hardacre, should we sign Dwyer, should we sign him, should we sign him. For me, the biggest signing this year was getting Reece Martin tied down for those 2 years because. Yeah. Make no mistake, I think he'd have had NRL offers of his recent form here. And
yeah, I don't think he'd have made a bigger impact as he would with Leeds if he did go elsewhere.
No,
but
it's a key player.
Keeping him is probably, like you say, the signing of the season. In
I can't.
So far, anyway, we don't know what else is coming.
Well, we might beat that, but I don't see us beating that in terms of retention. And I think
not retention wise. No,
we've said on this podcast all year, he's pretty much been Mr. Consistent, especially with the way he started the year and losing his father and everything. And
that's the only game he's missed as well. The 2 games he missed was because he was back at home.
Precisely. I haven't seen the Matt Pryor yellow. Have you?
No, because in the highlights, the play kind of continues and it goes back on. So we'll have to see it on the full game.
Did you see the red?
Yeah, we've only got one angle, haven't we? I know this shows how difficult it is for a referee to make this judgment that quickly because we've only got one view in one speed, and referee has to make that decision at that point. So I think one of the highlights how hard decisions they have to be, but I haven't been able to slow it down or see the point of contact. But it doesn't. It looks like it doesn't look particularly malicious, but I don't know if it's a straight red or if it's another yellow means a red.
Yeah, 2 bookings, you're off.
So I know obviously in Union, if you get a yellow and you come back on and you make a yellow offence, it's a red card.
You're red.
So I don't know if it's the same in league. I haven't looked that up, but the point of contact looked, I don't know, in the one angle that I've got, it didn't scream a red card to me, but there may be another angle that tells me otherwise.
That's what I mean. We only see that one angle. It's not like Sky where you can get multiple.
Yeah, there was no slow-mo. There was no angle from the left, right, behind.
But
from the side.
From what we can see, it didn't look too bad. But again, it looked like he was trying to wrap his arms around. But obviously, we don't know if there's been kind of shoulder impact in.
My question is, how did a match review panel make that decision? Because normally they would have all the angles, won't they? Or did
have all the angles and then break it? I suppose the biggest bit of information is the referee's report, and then kind of saying that we can see from what little footage we've got, you don't see much. They'll have to go from the referee, and if it could be like you said, it could be something. It could have been Pryor's attitude in the game. The referee might have had enough of him, and then it bins him and says, "Look, tighten it up. You've got 10 minutes to chill out." And he comes. It like when his first tackle back as well.
He got sin binned on the 40th minute, just on the break of half time, I think it was. And then he got red card on the 54th. So he came back on the 51st minute and then gets
it sounds to me that he might have made a rod for his back, not listened to the ref, and then
potentially. Without seeing what the yellow was for, it's a bit difficult, isn't it? And with all the angles
we are kind of putting 2 and 2 together, but I think that's what the match review panel do sometimes, to be fair.
Yeah, and he's obviously had a ban before for a high shot, so it could be more than 2, pretending.
Just as we get he who shall not be named, he's due back for Salford, I believe.
I haven't been paying attention.
I kind of forgot about it. I think he's back, and then we lose Matt Pryor. So as soon as we get one body back from a ban, we lose another.
Yeah.
But do you think? I can't remember who was speaking to Rowan in the press conference after, but they kind of mentioned disciplinary to him. But do you think that's still an issue, or do you think that's
I
something?
don't think it's massively an issue. I mean, let's just have a quick look now, because it doesn't scream out as an issue to me at the moment, to be honest. Let me just have a quick look at the stats so far this year, or since Rowan's come in. So since Rowan's come in, we've had 5 yellows, which is 1 less than the Agar era, and 2 less than if you include JJB in there.
We've had 2 reds in Rowan's time.
Well, we have had 2 reds to obviously the 1. Penalties wise, we are actually conceding more penalties a game than we are pre-Rowan Smith. So JJB and Richard Agar together, we conceded 5.8 a game. We're currently conceded 6.4 penalties a game. So on the stats wise, then it does look like the discipline side is a bit of an issue, but weirdly, it doesn't feel as much of an issue. But that's probably because we're winning.
Yeah, I'm about to say it helps when you win.
when you lose, it's discipline and it's all rubbish, and when you win, it doesn't matter. Although it was quite interesting reading some of the comments of this game on certain groups on Facebook and Twitter at 54 minutes, and and then they're all backtracking at 84 minutes. But yeah, so yeah, discipline could still be a problem, but I'm not sure it's affecting the side as much as it.
No, it helps when you're winning. Yeah, that's it
depends on the nature of those penalties as well. Like if they're silly, in the games I've watched recently, I can't recall many silly penalties. Obviously, Tetivano's against Hull and was really stupid and deserved a red. Bentley for what he did against Saints, that was that's a penalty. But I can't think of many silly ones. But that's just from memory.
And I think kind of the teamwork and the cohesion for this win kind of breeds into that. Like, we don't want to be, because we've had 2 really good results back to back. We don't want to be kind of punishing the team and Rowan and everything, all the momentum we've got, being, like you say, being silly penalties and silly sin bins and silly red cards that can be helped. So I think that momentum kind of plays into the hand of the disciplinary. I noticed that Rowan said after the Wigan game that he's kind of been working with the side in, like, Cam Smith played halfback and utilising other players in that halfback role, because when they are available, someone has to drop in there. I think that's kind of played into Cam's role as well. In that
he was on the bench though, wasn't he, for this?
That's what I'm about to say. In that he could slot in there, but at the start of the game, you wasn't impressed with him on the bench, were you? Do you think it's?
Well, I think a couple of people said to me, maybe that's because it's going to mitigate Cassiano, and they're going, well, when you've got your James Bentley on your side who's leading your defence, I don't want Cam Smith really being bogged down with that, although he's a very good defensive player.
Good defender,
he's good at that. But, for me, Cassiano should be matched up by Aledzki, Pryor, your props. They should be going head on to the end. So I was a bit worried and not the best happy with when I saw that Cam Smith was on the bench, especially when you had James Donaldson at loose. I thought, great, we'll have Myers, Caesar back at the halves, and then have Smith at loose. So you've got 3 genuine great playmakers, which all seem to work well together eventually in the second half. But I'm not going to criticise Rowan now because we won, so it's a masterstroke.
It doesn't matter now. And you are the founding member of the Cam Smith Appreciation Society.
Exactly, yeah. So there was 2 questions that I'd asked Twitter, and one of them was, as you mentioned, the most 2 recent results, which I'm going to ask you first, and I'll go through and I'll say my bit. But which of the 2 most recent wins, i.e. Wigan at home, Catalan away, which impressed you the most?
I think you think to the Wigan game, and like we said on the pod, kind of going to the game, making your way there, thinking about the game as you always do, building up to it. I didn't expect anything from that game at all with the squad we had. Wigan off the Wigan. I think Wigan had just battered Hull by however many points, and Bevan French scored an absolute bucket load. And then that game were like being there and watching it unfold, like one of those where your mouth is just your drawers dropping. You're like, everyone's like the whole South stand looking around, going, "What is going on here? What?" It's just what the fuck is happening here? No one expected this at all. And the whole performance of that, Harry Newman, like 10 men. But that being said, as great as that result was, like I said earlier in the pod, going to Catalan is the hardest away game in the league. Their home form is usually really, really good. Going down to 12, being, 30 points to 6 down, showing the endeavour, the passion, the commitment we had, not to only score the points to get back in the game, but to defend well as well.
Yes, the one thing I've got to mention, they only conceded 2 points.
For
to me, 30 minutes when they're a man down.
To me, that this Catalan result, has kind of confirmed that every player on that pitch is behind Rowan now. They've bought into his philosophy. They've bought into him as a man, as a manager, as a coach. And I think I genuinely believe it's one of the wins for the ages. Really, it's one of those wins as a Leeds fan. It's one of those where everyone will remember that Catalan win, that great comeback. I know you're going to talk about more comebacks, but in a moment. But this is one of those now. In those famous wins that we've seen previously, I think it has to be this Catalan win for me.
So I'm really torn on this one, and it's funny enough that
it is tough. Yeah,
the poll result,
especially in that the back-to-back games as well.
Yeah, exactly. And so the poll has Wigan at home at 48.2%.
Oh wow!
And Catalan away at 51.8%. So it's a real 50-50 really across the fans that obviously voted for that. And I think Wigan was a complete performance from the off. It was a complete performance. So arguably that probably should be the most impressive, and that's what quite a few people coming back said. It was the most complete performance from 0 to 80. But again, with the Catalan, the one thing I'd want to add with Catalan, something I wasn't quite sure I agree with the club, is they flew out on the same day as the game. I was surprised at that because I know they've only been to Toulouse recently, and obviously it has been warm here or whatever. But I don't know, just that whole flying there and obviously getting off the plane and getting ready for a game. Maybe that's why we conceded 30 points and came back. But,
maybe.
I think for me, I will probably err on the side of the Catalan result because down to 12 men away at Catalan to score 26 points to level it and then to go on and win at a golden point
to nick it
was there. But that leads me on to the next one, which we're saying the comeback, which was, so I'd asked quite a few people, can you think of a better comeback before I declare this the greatest comeback of all time? Can anyone else think of anyone better for Rhinos in the Super League era? And a couple came up. One I have no recollection of, which was Sheffield Eagles away in 1998. I don't know if you can.
Well, when were you born, Reese?
1994. So, what happened to that comeback? Can you remember that game?
I can't remember that.
I think it was Richard that put it up, actually.
Not with my memory.
There was St. Helens at home in 2003, which I believe he won 30 points to 20.
I went to that game.
Yeah. How far?
That was an amazing comeback. I think Mark Calderwood got a couple.
Right. And then Huddersfield at home, which was 2020, which I think we were 26-8 down or something like that.
Yes.
And then we scored, quite a few tries, I think, with 15 minutes to go. So even a shorter period. And then
nobody was at that game.
No, and I think that was the first game back, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
I think it was. I think it was 2020. Because the season,
right.
no, it was the first game. I think it was the first game back after the COVID break.
Ah, right.
Because it was back when all the games were getting played in one stadium. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I think it was. I might be wrong. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong. And then obviously I put Catalan away. Now, Sheffield Eagles was the lowest with 33.3%.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Huddersfield was second last with 14.8%. St. Helens at home was second with 21.3%. But an overwhelming 60.7% of you voted that the Catalan game was the greatest comeback of all time in the Super League era. I put in there. So, I agree.
Yeah, Twitter polls are factual, so that's
no, not because of the Saul Duncan thing winning the draft. I'm not having that. That's factual. Right. Draft
we'll
polls.
Have to speak about that later as well.
No, we won't.
Cat's out the bag. No, what?
Delete the tweet.
I'll delete the tweet. I'll delete the pod.
Yeah. But no, yeah. So summary: people thought that game slightly impressed them more than a Wigan result, and it was the greatest comeback in the Super League era.
Yeah, I think that. Do you think that's a good point to finish on for this one?
I think that's a nice little summary note.
I agree. Amazing win, Leeds. Same again on Sunday versus Salford. Please get a bit more momentum moving forward into the playoff run and Old Trafford. We'll have to speak about getting to Old Trafford, but we'll do that later. Did you see the tweets moving on from a very drunken Derek Beaumont?
I saw one about him getting in, and there's a photo of someone like up in the air or whatever. But I haven't. Was that what you mean, or
it was basically going on about? He must have been drunk. He must have been. He were offering to fight people for money for. I mean, in a week that I'm sure it was last week that there were reports that IMG speaking to different clubs, about how they work things and how it can be promoted better, and then we've got this idiot saying on Twitter that it was because of the French side. He was moaning about.
Is it because of the comments that Huddersfield had made?
That's right. Yes,
right.
And he was kind of saying that Lee take away fans and the French sides don't. Lee fans buy pies at the ground, and Lee fans bet in Betfred shops. They're going to Betfred shops and place bets. I mean, it's very, very cliche rugby league, this. And Derek Beaumont is like an old 70s, 80s rugby league chairman. But I mean, IMG looking at this, Reese, must just be wincing at this drunken
especially
mess
when
on
they're currently
Twitter.
set to be the one to come into the Super League after their win against.
They must just be rubbing bridge of the nose, thinking, "What have we got ourselves into here?" I mean,
apparently the RFL were looking into those. I'm just looking now. Apparently they are looking into it.
They are.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just found some of the tweets now that he was sending, because he was engaging with that Toulouse Catalan media as well, wasn't it? Which I quite like. So I'm going to read this tweet off. Which is brilliant, mate. Arguing with you would be like playing chess with a pigeon. I'd make carefully considered moves whilst you'd strut around the board, knocking pieces over, shitting anywhere, claiming you'd won. That's brilliant. I love that. Well done, Catalan media. Love that.
Well done, Catalan media. Steve, good lad. I do hope that the RFL speak to him and kind of say, look, when you've had a glass of wine, put your phone away. Don't be running, because this is not the first time he's been running his mouth off to fans on Twitter. And I mean, someone at Super League, because they are definitely going to get promoted, must be looking at this and IMG and saying, will you please just shut up?
You don't want to take the passion out for the game, because Barry said in your interviews that what we have for the sport has been told a number of times that it's on its arse. Yeah. But it's the passion for the game, the community game, and everything, the passion of it that keeps the game going. You don't want to stop people like him who are passionate about the game and passionate about his team. He clearly is passionate about Lee being a good team and getting them up into the Super League. So you don't want to lose that. But at the same time, it's like from an IMG perspective, you're doing your analysis, you're wanting to invest in this model to grow the game, and you're looking at things like that and you're going, I'm not sure he's the one that's going to help us to do that.
Yeah, can we shut him up? Can someone shut that man up while the adults put a plan together? I always compare things like this to football. I know football's the be all and end all, one of the biggest sports in the world, but you just wouldn't see a Premier League chairman or a Championship chairman getting drunk on Twitter.
Chelino,
there's been a couple of madmen. I'll hold my hands up, but it's incredibly rare. They hold themselves, but it is rugby league, and it's such a cliche thing that it's going to happen. But I think IMG have certainly got their work cut out trying to make something of this sport. I mean, I don't know where they're going to start.
I mean, it's a conversation we've had a load of times, isn't it? And it sounds horrible towards the likes of Featherstone and Lee. I just don't see how that grows the game.
It doesn't.
But they're the teams
Featherstone will never ever get promoted.
You are.
Featherstone will never get promoted. Never.
I mean, I'd love to see a team like York, Newcastle, these big cities that that can have this greater populace, but also the game's not as passionate about it there. So it's that for me, it's that balance. It's an argument we can go in through way longer, but it's that balance of teams that have that passion, but teams that are also going to grow the game and stuff, which I think is quite hard for us to balance at the moment.
Yeah, you're right. Moving on to some other controversial news this week from Eddie Jones. Did you see this, Reese? This little interview we did
seen
outside?
You retweeted it. Saying he'd be interested. I wouldn't turn down, or if someone approached him, he would be interested.
I think he said, what did he say? Would 100% consider a coaching job in the NRL because it was an Australian reporter that had asked him. You are a rugby union man, so I thought, who better to ask than a rugby union man? Do you think
I'm a dual coder? Don't be
a dual coder. Sorry, no,
invading,
you're absolutely right to slap me down. You're absolutely correct. A dual coder. But with your knowledge, I don't know much about rugby union at all. Do you think, should this happen, Reese, then Eddie Jones take a job in rugby league, be it NRL or Super League? Do you think, would his style of rugby union league, do you think he could make that transition rather well?
I don't know. It's an interesting one because I don't know many coaches have gone from union to league. There's obviously a lot we know that have gone from league to union.
The opposite
He's
way,
never played league, as far as I'm aware. Like he grew up playing rugby. He played for New South Wales in rugby union. He's an immense rugby coach. I mean, he got Australia to the World Cup final in 2003, obviously, which England beat them. He got Japan heroically. Beating South Africa in the 2015 World Cup and qualified, and then Japan have gone from strength to strength for then. England have been one of the top teams. I mean, they've got to the World Cup final, but again, they haven't won. At the moment, England is struggling to score tries, and their brand of rugby has been told a bit boring. But what I do like about Eddie Jones is his character. He's a bit of a knob with the media, and he likes twisting people's arms. He likes winding people up. So that side of things, I'd love to see in the NRL because I think he'd be a really good character for the NRL. Because he just take the stuff about him being union and never working in league. He'd just take it on and just go, yeah, whatever. So and he just wind people up, and I kind of like to see that.
I like that. I do.
He's a good character. But yeah, it's England at the moment aren't scoring a lot of tries and not that entertaining to watch. Despite the fact they've got some phenomenal players in there. So whether he'd make the transition or not, I don't know. But I'd like to see it as an experiment because can't think of many high-profile coaches, especially as high-profile as he is.
As him, yeah.
That will have gone from union to league.
When is his England deal?
It's after the World Cup.
Right, I'm going to say it must be soon after asking him a question like this.
This is next year.
Next year.
September, October, November time next year.
I've said this before on the podcast about players coming from union or into league. I'd much rather someone come with the stature and media presence of Eddie Jones into league than someone a little less unknown. I think his presence, his coverage, like Reese said, the way he is with the media, he's a massive character. I'd actually prefer to see him in Super League because I think he'd draw more eyes onto. I think people would be more interested in how he got on in
I would say he'd end up at Warrington, but Darryl Powell just seems to be invincible somehow.
We'll
do this in a Super League roundup. But
it's not only that.
On this week's Sack Watch, somehow
he's still there. He's doing such a good job. They're never going to sack him.
But yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I just don't think Super League would have the money to anyone in Super League.
No, I don't think they'd have to draw.
I mean, if you're the England coach in union, you'll be paid a fair paycheck.
Oh yeah, but it'd have to be an NRL job if one of those do go in for him. It'd probably end up as I don't know, some kind of assistant or sporting director role at Souths or something like that. And then when they sack their coach, he'll just fall into a job. I think not like be appointed. He'll become an interim and get it that way. But yeah, I think I'd like to see him in the game. I think anything that draw we can take from union in that sense, that like a big name and a big coach. can work out, and the more eyes that are on our game, the better. No matter
Yeah.
where that, no matter where they come from or whatever. I think the more eyes and media coverage on rugby league is a good thing. Did you see there was a bit more outrage with the new England kit? Did you see the outpour about?
I did see it. I think I
I,
was part of that outpour, to be fair.
I don't. I think because obviously the outpour for anyone that hasn't seen it is that they've released another England kit for the Rugby League World Cup, and instead of it being white and red, it is white and blue. But then you've got to take into account that this is the third kit.
There you go.
Oh, it's there for anyone
Yes,
watching
anyone
on
that's watching,
YouTube
you can see it.
or Twitch. Everything you can see it now. It's very St Helens away, but this is the third kit that Oxen have released over the last, I'd say. Well, they released one for the 2021 World Cup that was postponed.
Yeah.
They then released one for the All Stars game this year in 2022. The England.
Because that was the 2021 kit, wasn't it? This one here.
Yes, for people watching on YouTube now, that's the 2021 kit, which I thought was a classic.
I quite liked it.
England kit. Yeah, it's got the St George's cross. And then they released
we've
one.
ended up with Saints away.
No, I've got Saints away. And then they released one for the All Stars game. So Oxen had previously done 2 red and white kits. So obviously they're thinking, right, we can't do another one of them because people have just bought 2 of them. So they've tried something different. But
I've read some logic. Obviously, the England cricket they do wear blue.
Yeah.
England football have been wearing blue away, haven't they? I read stuff that obviously if they wanted to do the V design, if you make that red, obviously it looks like St Helens. It still looks like St Helens, just their away kit.
Just their away kit.
I don't know if we just associate the V with St Helens. I'm not really sure, but I'm not a fan of it at all. I'm also not a fan of them releasing another shirt. I mean, that's obviously for the shirt and the training kit. So let me just have a look at how much the normal shirt is. When people, during COVID, when people have spent money on it, replica shirt at the moment is 55 quid.
55 quid. I think the fact that, because I know that Oxen have done like an offer where if you bought the 2021 England kit, you got a discount on this one. But to me, it still leaves a bad taste.
That's just like us winning a game and us getting a 20% discount on a morning. Like we get a discount regardless.
The kit that for the 2021 was better anyway. It looks England. I mean, I think what irks me more than anything about this new blue and white Saints kit that they've got on wearing is they didn't. And Andrew Foster and I think it were Cast Rugby League shirts on Twitter summed this up quite brilliantly in that they just kind of threw the shirt and said, "Here's the new kit, go buy it." No explanation.
There was no teaser videos. There was
there was no marketing as if to say this is why we're doing it.
Yeah.
You normally
see those power words, don't you? Like belief and pride. Yeah. And they'll do it all with big amped up music and there was just no build up. It literally just went.
There's your shirt. Go buy it. They didn't even bleed into that like England cricket. Great Britain. They didn't bleed into any of that. Didn't explain it. They just. I think it was a day or two later. Someone from the RFL or England kind of tweeted out a statement. I just thought it's just rugby league again. Why can't we just do it properly?
I mean, once they're playing, no one will really care.
No one cares now. People are listening to this like, oh my god, this happened last week.
Yeah. But we want to talk about it, so that's fine.
It's just that flash in it of like, oh my god, it's classic rugby league. But I think the design of it as well, it's 2 St Helens. I can't see many Wigan fans buying that. I just because for instance, in a similar kind of fashion, I once bought a Juventus home shirt about 10, 12 years ago. And for anyone that doesn't know, Juventus home shirt is black and white stripes, vertical.
Think Foot Locker.
Yes, think Foot Locker. So at the time, I couldn't drive, so I was getting bused to work. Long story short, I was at the bus stop waiting for the bus, as you do, and then a bloke came up and was speaking to me about football, and he was speaking to me, and he was talking to me about Newcastle United. He thought I was a Newcastle fan, and the biggest cloud of dread fell over me because I thought, oh my God, it's this shirt I'm wearing. He thinks I'm a Newcastle fan. And I just went, I'm going to have to interrupt you there because I'm not a Newcastle fan. I'm a Leeds fan. And he went, well, why are you wearing that shirt? And I said, I had to go, it's a Juventus shirt. And they were like, it looks like a bloody Newcastle shirt. And I just got it straight home from work and threw it straight in the bin. Because I thought, I cannot have people thinking I have anything because I hate Newcastle.
Probably didn't help that you were stood there with a bottle of Newcastle brown ale as well.
Yeah, no, we're really drunk.
Yeah.
And so, in a similar fashion, I can imagine like a Wigan fan wearing that England shirt, looking like and then being like someone going to them and saying, "Oh, that was a great win," and they've just been like, "Whoa, I am not
not associated with that."
And they're like, "Well, what's that shirt?" And he's like, "This is an England shirt," and you'd be like, "So I just cannot see any Saints fan or anyone buying that shirt." But the other thing was that they said that because we're in the group with, is it Greece and Samoa, and how the kits are very similar. But then England, in that statement that they released on Twitter, whenever it was, saying that no, we had it confirmed that it's not going to be a kit clash. It's like, well, it definitely wouldn't have been a kit clash.
Are white and blue.
If it had been
Samoa,
red and white.
No, Samoa are blue, aren't they?
Samoa are blue and white.
Yeah, Samoa
red and white. Tonga.
Yeah, Tonga are red, aren't they? Let's look at the group stages now. Oh, we play Fiji in the build-up as well, but they'll play white, won't they? We've got France in our group as well.
France as well. So three teams that play blue and white. I know. We'll release a blue and white kit. Oh God, rugby league, please never change. Never change.
Please do.
Never ever change. So moving on to finish, I've got loads of questions for the mailbag here. I think it might be a mailbag.
We're ahead of time, so that's good. That's good.
We're ahead of time. I'm going to say it's a good time to open this mailbag because I can't remember how many I counted. I just grabbed my phone, but I think it's a mailbag record for the art of questions. The mailbag, for people who have never listened before, is the part of the podcast where we ask you, the listeners, the people on Twitter, to get in touch with us with your questions, sometimes a bit random, sometimes a bit rugby league related. If you do want to send in a question, you can send them to @lot17a, or is it @the Owl and Fleece, all one word?
@the Owl and Fleece, yeah.
In future, yep. Or we do have an email address, lot17a@outlook.com, which people have been utilising amazingly. The first question is from George, who asks, Lottie, do you have any more players lined up to appear on the podcast? Not yet. Still working on it, George. Trying his best. Until, as I've said before, until they're on the pod, we don't have anyone lined up, mate. The next question is from Peter. New Zealand Warrior. Last week, someone asked on the mailbag, Reese, we should have an
NRL section and we should choose a team to follow. We selfishly just went, well, we're both Warriors. so
Warriors. Well, yeah. Peter agrees. New Zealand Warriors should definitely be our podcast team. I like how he says our. I like that, Peter. It's not just us, it's all of us, all in this together. Then it's decided we are Warriors. We're New Zealand Warriors from now and forth. I'll buy a shirt to make it official. God, Tyler, go on, sorry.
They've got so many Warriors. They've got so many, and they're quite expensive. It might be an eBay job.
Yeah, vinted an eBay, yeah.
That was an eBay job.
Really?
Yeah, it's signed. It was £3.50.
Really? Oh my God, what a bag.
You can pick up some really good old rhinos.
For anybody, that's
not these ones. These ones are extortionate.
Reese is pointing at a signed Yes Daenerys shirt.
Oh, sorry, yeah, my sign. It's the one from the purple. It's the purple kit with the black
nice
on.
£3.50.
Yeah, we've got the old Super League logo on it as well. It's great.
Unbelievable. You can pick up a bargain. Tyler has been asking us musical questions for 7-8 weeks now, maybe even longer. And Tyler says, there were some nice glam rock 80s tunes last week. We had Mark on, and I think you and Mark were talking about Kiss and
Yeah,
Def
he
Leppard.
said. I think my song was "Pour Some Sugar on Me," Def Leppard. His was a Kiss song, I think.
Tyler was impressed anyway with the...
Good.
On a similar theme, what is your favourite 80s album, Reese? Have you had time to think about this?
Yeah, so I mentioned Hysteria last time, which was the Def Leppard album, which Pour Much Sugar on Me was. That's a great one. Joshua Tree, U2 was another album that I really, really love. My dad had 2 CDs and tapes. It's a set, regardless of how old the car was or wherever stage of my life. My dad had 2 CDs or tapes, and it was the same ones. One was the best of the 80s, and the other one was Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits.
Dire Straits.
And I've been brainwashed into Dire Straits. But my favourite, and I think I do actually have it on vinyl up there. I think I do. Yes, I do. Born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen. Big fan of Bruce Springsteen. That's also why I'm a big fan of Sam Fender, because Sam Fender reminds me of Bruce Springsteen in a way.
Bruce.
Yeah. But yeah, Born in the USA. It's got Dancing in the Dark in it. Obviously, Born in the USA. It's a great album. So that's my favourite. That's my favourite of the 80s. My
favourite is, no surprise, Combat Rock by The Clash. I would have said London Calling, but that came out in 79. But it did, this is boring people now, but it did get released in the 80s, 1980, in America. But I'm going to go UK. So Combat Rock by The Clash. Brian has kind of jumped on Tyler's.
We're on a movie theme now, aren't we?
Yeah, Tyler's got the music theme really up and running, and we're loving. Brian's jumped on that in the movie stuff now, the film stuff, and I've got a feeling someone else is going to jump on another. So we're just going to get, which is good. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. No. And Brian's asked us, what is your favourite animated film? Anything animated, he says, because someone asked us our favourite Disney film before.
It is, yeah, and I just think animated is. It's still, I think animated, it does take me back to the Disneys and the Pixars. I mean, I'm thinking Ratatouille, Toy Story, Shrek, all the all the movies that I watched up when I was growing as a kid.
Yeah.
Most recently, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, 2018 movie
that.
animated.
Oh my God, we watched that. When did we watch that? Friday, I think.
And to be honest, my favourite, most recent animated movie probably is that. But if I'm going back in terms of the ones when I was a kid, I think Shrek. I loved Shrek as a kid. It was amazing.
Yeah, all the Shreks are good, really.
So yeah, I'm going to say Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse, and then also
yeah,
Shrek.
I'm going to agree with you there because the people, when I tend to speak to people about superhero films, and it's an incredibly enormous market at the minute with all the Marvel stuff. Quite a high majority of people have not seen Into the Spider-Verse, and the animation on it is just mind-blowing, and the story as well.
Avengers tag
Is what, sorry?
It's my Avengers tag there. It's my workstation. It's where my phone plugs in and all that. It's all there, but it's got Avengers on it. I was obsessed with Marvel. I mean, I'm obsessed with Marvel too.
That'll be Brian's. Well, I'm not asking Brian, but I bet
it's a separate podcast if we're going.
Yeah, I bet in time someone will ask us what our favourite either superhero or MCU film is. It's coming.
Oh.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse, I'm going to say that because a lot of people don't, or people I've spoken to haven't seen it when they need to, because it's amazing. Literally, not only is it an amazing animated film, I think it's one of the best superhero films as well.
It's a really good movie, just all around.
Really, really good. Number 2's coming out in next year or the year after, so watch that and then you'll be prepared for the follow-up. Next question's from Rocco. Lottie, what was the football shirt you were wearing last week?
Aren't you wearing it this week? I'm pretty sure you wore that last week.
Did I? This is an old Juventus shirt from 2014. 2014 Juventus away shirt. If I did wear that, what was the last podcast? On the draft.
I'm just going to have a look now. No, it wasn't the draft. Was it the draft one?
On the draft podcast, I had... Oh my God, what did I wear?
No, on the Wigan one, you wore that shirt.
This one?
Yeah.
If you do mean...
You wore that shirt.
Yeah,
Oh, no, did you? No, it's not. It's not got a yellow cuff in it.
This is the 2014.
No, I think you wore an Italian one. Maybe it was another Italian one. Have you got an Italian shirt?
Yeah, I have. It's a
Has it got a
19.
collar on it? A blue one with a
Yes, it
collar?
has. It's a 19. That's the Rocco. That it can't be this one because it's the
No, it was-
1997 Italy home shirt, Rocco.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And if you don't mean the Wigan one and you mean the draft, what the fuck did I wear for the
You
draft?
wore a green line green.
Oh, it's this year's Wolfsburg home shirt, Rocco.
Do you
I can't remember.
shirts?
I've got loads. I could cover that with unit, but yeah. Anyway,
I've only got shirts for. I've got Leeds, and then I've got. This is going to reveal something in the pod now, but if I've I'm a massive football manager player for the people that don't know me, massive onto it. And if I ever grow an affectionate with a team and football manager, I will go buy their shirt. So I've got like an Estonian shirt, like an Iceland shirt, and like team shirts and stuff like that.
You have to wear one for the next pod.
I want to wear one of Rhinos ones. I'm getting through them first.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
I've got my American football ones as well.
It's got quite the collection. The next question is from Melissa, and I like it. I'll read it out now. I love how your podcast is so open and transparent. There is such a community feel to it. You are all very passionate about your podcast and the Rhinos. When I listen to you, it feels like I am speaking with friends. Reese has been a great addition to the usual regulars you have on. What I enjoy most, being a Leeds girl in London, is hearing you broadcast in your regional accents. It is very refreshing to hear. Keep up the good work. Thanks a lot, Melissa.
That's amazing. That's absolutely awesome.
Thank you very much.
That's finished off my great weekend. That's brilliant. Thanks very much, Melissa.
Thanks, Melissa, for taking us to London with you. Reese has been, you're absolutely right, Reese has been a really good addition to the usual regulars. What else did you say? We are very passionate. We need you. I always say we need you because what we are, we're delusional. We think we're great one week, we think we're rubbish the next. And it's just, she makes a point here of, first of all, I love the word broadcast. I enjoy that you broadcast
how professional that makes me feel right now. I'm like,
your regional accent. The word broadcast is amazing, but I'm not professionally trained, but it'd be weird if we turned up like 80s.
Welcome to the Rhino podcast.
Yeah, 80s DJ. Oh, God. Thanks for listening, mates. The next track is by Duran Duran. Or what's another thing? Or like a serious news reader, coming up on today's show. Reese gives us the stats. Or like that way that sports broadcasters kind of talk like they've got indigestion, that they'll say. It's the big game, and joining me for this one is Graham Souness. Graham, what did you make of that first half? It's like what little short bursts of we are who we are, Melissa, but that was a lovely message, and thanks for taking us to London with you. You're not the only one that's been in touch with me, especially via DM, to say like there's expats listening to us, and we're like, it's refreshing that they have this type of content to listen to because they don't get a lot of Rhino stuff. So yeah, it's refreshing to hear. Next question's from Saul. I love this. If you could choose a day off to have during the week, Reese, off work, what day would you choose?
So for me, there's a choice of 3 days here, which I know doesn't quite answer the question just yet.
3?
Wednesday, because like it kind of breaks up the week, 2 days on, one off, 2 days in, 2 days off. Then there's either the Friday or the Monday.
Yeah.
Now, I think because we always seem to get the Thursday night games, I always want to go out for a drink after the game, but I can't because I've got work first thing in the morning. So I'm going to say the Friday because you get a 3-day weekend. And then obviously if we are playing the Thursday night, I can not have to worry about having a drink and go to work next morning. And equally, if we're playing on Friday night, I've got all Friday off to build up to the game. So, and there is a government trial on there about going down to 4-day weeks. So if any of you lot listening that are part of that government trial, don't screw it up for the rest of us.
Yeah, don't mess it up. Do something right for once, Jesus Christ.
Please.
You're right, because it has to be Monday or Friday, because then you've got your long weekend, and then because you could go away. If you had, I don't know, if you had a caravan or a villa somewhere.
My other half has half-day Fridays during the summer because she works for a company that works with schools because there's no one in, so they have a half day on a Friday. So she finishes like 12 o'clock on Friday and just goes off.
Exactly.
Not that I'm
Exactly.
jealous or annoyed at any point.
No, me neither.
Hmm.
Ollie asks, Reese, this is one for you. You really need to get hold of this Danny Maguire bell. To be fair, Ollie,
He actually hasn't mentioned it tonight.
yeah, this is the first time Danny
You know
Maguire
what?
been
I actually
mentioned.
went to the range today to go see if they had a bell, and they didn't. Annoyingly, they had a bell, they had a doorbell, but I thought that was probably a bit too extravagant.
Yeah, that might be a bit much. You need like one of those little ringy things, don't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to just do an Amazon Prime.
But Ollie,
Yes,
you know,
I will do, Ollie. Sorry.
we need the bell. But to be fair, this is the first time Danny's been brought up. I'll speak about him whenever. But yeah, we'll get a little bell sorted. Harriet asks, are we ever going to have, we've kind of been speaking about this sort of, like on and off. Are we ever going to have a Lot Pod / Lot 17A meetup at Headingley? Perhaps to coincide with the first issue of the fanzine launch. We've been speaking about this on and off for a while now, but I'm up for it. Absolutely. I mean,
We're definitely up for it, aren't we? I think we
yeah,
were talking about. Did you get the flag?
I think it's coming this week.
Coming this
When's
week.
the
So
4th?
Lottie's ordered a flag. It's
I
got
have.
lot 17 on there. So the idea is our idea, which I think we've stolen from some Leeds United one equivalent, but we'd go either before and after the game, put the flag up so everyone knows that that's where we'll be before and after, and just come along and say hello and have a drink.
Yeah, we'll put it up in like a beer garden and to indicate that that's us. But then you can kind of look from afar and be anonymous and go, "Oh my god, his head's even bigger in real life." It's on the podcast. You won't believe the size of this head. I've had to like zoom all this down and edit it all. It's enormous. Or you can come along and introduce yourself and have a drink and talk rhinos and rubbish with us, because I do feel that there is a community kind of growing. I've noticed that online, especially yesterday. Like, there's so many different rhinos accounts popping up now, and everyone gets along and everyone's on the same page. I think we need to jump on that, Harriet, and kind of just tweet something out and say, look, we're going to be here at this time. If anyone wants to come and have a drink and, you know, chew the fat, then let's do it. Because I do know that some people do either go to the games by themselves or just with someone else. So it's like, yeah, we'll sort something out. We will. I promise.
Ollie, just to let you know, I've just bought a bell on Amazon Prime.
So there you go, Ollie. He's officially bought the
I'll be there tomorrow.
On the next podcast, it'll be there. And hopefully the flag as well will be the backdrop. Yeah, it's slowly progressing. Marco asks, this is one more for me. I don't know about Reese's hair situation. He always has a hat on. Marco says, Lottie, I am starting to recede and I'm wondering if I should get a hair transplant or just shave it all off. I'm an expert on this. Reese, what do you think Marco should do if he's starting to lose it? Do you think he should go for the hair transplant or just bick it?
Do whatever makes you feel best and confident.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I'll tell you my story. I always had, for anyone that's never seen me, I've just got an incredibly large, bald head. And my head is massive. So when I had hair, it was physically impossible for my body to create enough hair to cover my forehead. My forehead is just enormous. So even when I had hair, Marco, even as a child, it looked like I were balding from like 8 years old. People said, my God, look at that poor child, he's receding. And I wasn't. It's just it's physically impossible for my hair to cover up my enormous forehead. And I didn't shave it all off until it started to recede, if that makes sense. I looked like I was receding, but I wasn't receding. When it started to recede, that's when I kind of said to my wife, right, enough's enough, and I'm getting rid of it all. But I think like Reece said, it's your choice. Personally, I wouldn't. I do see some people, and I think, yeah, you're receding, but it still looks all right. When you start to get like a little island or a bald patch, a little egg in the nest. Another thing that used to catch me out was when I started receding at the front, I thought, well, the back's all right. I can kind of cover this up a little bit. It didn't look too bad. But then when I'd go into a petrol station and a garage, I know I have a CCTV and you get in the queue and you'd look at the CCTV with the monitor and you'd see the little egg in the nest. I used to look up and think, oh, wow, someone's got a bit of a ball patch. Then I'd be thinking, you move your head. I'd be like, oh, my God, it's me. Oh, my God, it's me. And I'd go home and say to my wife, why you tell me I've got a ball patch? That's when I was like, right, enough's enough. I have to shave this. So I think, Marco, it's up to you, but I don't know about these hair transplants because, look at Wayne Rooney. He must have had 5 or 6 now, and his hair doesn't look any better. So to me, shave it. But like Reece said, do whatever you want. Do what makes you.
I only wear a hat, by the way, because normally I do my hair back. But if I don't do it, I go full 90s David Beckham, and I have like partings that come down here, so like it just naturally comes forward in that way. So that's why I wear the hat. Because
Reece has got a thick head of hair. I'm bald.
But yeah, it goes full 90s David Beckham. Otherwise, that's why I wear it.
Do what you want, Marco.
Yeah.
Just whatever you choose to do, just own it. So if you've got a comb over, just say, yeah, I've got a comb over, get over it. The next question is for Reece from Joanne. We recently spoke about, might have been on the last podcast, about karaoke. Someone asked us what our karaoke song was. Or were it dancing? No, karaoke. How many beers would it take to hear Reece sing Meatloaf on the podcast?
I mean, I should probably throw that answer back in terms of how many people actually want me to hear me sing that. I mean, I'm not going to boast. I was a head of choir at year 6 at primary school, so there's an angel's voice in there somewhere. That's currently been number 2, and I'm not quite ready yet. So maybe Joanne, tell you what, get to the grand final, and I'll do a segment of Paradise by the Dashboard Light on the podcast.
Did you hear that, everybody? It's written in stone now.
This year, by the way, that's not like an eternity thing. That is this season.
Damn, I almost had him then. I'm about to say, we didn't even put a year on that. So if we get to the grand final, everyone's even more so now going to want us to get there to hear Reece.
In fact, this will now be played in the dressing room every week now.
Paradise. By the Dashboard Light.
We all want to hear Reece sing this. That's what Rowan's going to play in the dressing room from now
on. So how many beers do you reckon it would take, though, just to answer the question? 6?
Not a lot, really. If you just put it on, I'd probably start anyway. I really enjoy
keyboard behind him.
Yeah. The piano's there, look, so I'll start jamming.
Blast it out. It won't take much, John. Anne asks us, what did you make of the awful England kit? We dissected that earlier on.
That's what you said.
Yeah, awful. Absolutely awful. Frankie, another nice thoughts question from Frankie. Really enjoy listening to you whilst working. I drive HGVs and the first 2 hours fly by on podcast day. I am happy with the Sangare signing, but I think we need 2 more props. Thanks for your kind words, Frankie. Do you agree with Frankie Reece? 2 more props?
Definitely need another one, I think. And we need an experienced one at that. And that's on the proviso that Pryor and Tetevano were probably gone at the end of the season in my books. I will be surprised if they both stay. So that obviously leaves us then with just Valensky, Sangare, Holroyd. And then you've kind of got Muzz, who not quite sure is going to stay because I think he's contract year, isn't he? Walters, who, Barry was saying that he doesn't think he is going to be a prop. He sees him more on the edge. Getting on, because I can understand that, beating the one-on-ones and getting the offload in just because he can reach around people because he's that tall. So there's definitely a need for another one. But if we lose both Pryor and Tetevano, you probably could put an argument in for 2, potentially. But definitely I would love a big name signing prop. Ideally, Luke Thompson.
Yes. Forget Luke Thompson, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. No, I agree, though. I think it kind of depends who they are, Frankie, because if you get Luke Thompson, the way he can perform, do you need another? Because we've got McDonnell as well, who is, I believe, playing prop for Lee at the moment. So I do think we need 2, but it depends who, really. But thanks for your kind words anyway. I'm glad you anything that helps work go quicker, no matter what it is, even if it's drinking. I'm only joking. Helps. So I'm glad that we kind of help you with them first 2 hours whenever you listen to this. Cameron asks us, what did you think, sorry, of the Summer Bash as it was held at HQ? Did you see any of this, Reese? I saw a couple of games. It looked
I
empty.
saw bits of it. I saw Laurie singing, was it Twist and Shout with some Halifax fans?
Laurie enjoyed it.
Laurie had a right day, and he's probably
I think he's there now.
To be honest, I didn't even know it was on until like a week a bit ago. In fact, I didn't really know it was on until Laurie put the question on. So whether I'd been naive and not seen it was advertised, or a bit of probably what I more suspect it will be, is that it wasn't very well broadcasted at all. Like I didn't. When at the Wigan game, because obviously I missed that. Was there any advertisement for it at the Wigan game? Was it advertised?
I don't think so.
Was it advertised on the screen?
Possibly, but I mean,
it's a shame because there's some brilliant games in there. You know,
yeah, there was.
There's Cumbrian Derby this afternoon in Workington, Whitehaven. There's Bradford, Halifax, Lee, Fev. You know, there was some really good. Batley Dewsbury, wasn't it? Another one. Did you see the Stag?
Yes,
the Batley fan that had to come out dressed in no, is he a Dewsbury fan?
Dewsbury fan
come out dressed as a full Batley kit, holding hands with the captain. That was brilliant. So it's a shame because I think it would be more advertised. I don't know if it had been picked up more because the crowds didn't look amazing. And it's a shame because there were some great matchups.
It looked empty. The games that I think I watched 2 or 3. The games I saw were good, and Laurie, one of our regulars on here, went to it and he was having a right laugh. He was sending us some videos with some Halifax fans, and I don't know if it's Leeds Rhinos, because obviously we held at Headingley. I don't know if it's Leeds Rhinos' job to promote this. I suppose in a way they do have some incentive, being that
He's going for the tickets, doesn't it?
Yeah, the food.
Assuming they'd get a cut, surely.
Yeah, the food and drink aspect and the takings that way. But I don't know how it works ticket-wise and things like that. But to me, I would have gone on Saturday. I wouldn't have gone today. But for instance, if they said season ticket holders, you got access just to try and get more people down there. Rhino season ticket holders have got, I don't know, and it's some incentive to go. I would have gone, but in terms of promotion, is it Leeds Rhinos? This one of those grey areas for me where is it the Rhinos' job to promote this? I don't know. I don't know, but I guess it was in their interest to do so. I know that on the Rhinos' Twitter, I didn't see much. They did something last week. I saw some tweets to promote it, but I don't know if Headingley as a location, I felt was perfect for this because there's everything around Headingley. You know, there's B&Bs, there's bars, there's restaurants.
These train stations, I know it's not essential, but you've got a central train station to get to.
Yeah, precisely. And that it isn't a million miles away from Leeds city centre, so you really can make a weekend of it. But in terms of, is it, because I know they usually have it in Blackpool, but I don't know. But the games were good, but it just didn't look good that the stadium was empty.
Yeah.
But then is it, I don't know. I'm just glad it's not my job to decide these things. That's all I'll say. The last one from me, because Reese has got the other half of the mailbag, is from Nathan. I'm fairly sure Nathan gave us the idea for the billionaire kind of podcast that we're producing. I'm fairly certain it was Nathan. He's kind of said, "Love the Super League draft podcast you've recently done. When is the next draft podcast?" The next draft podcast, we're not sure when we're going to do that, but we do know what it is. It's the NRL draft. And we're kind of speaking about this today, but because the NRL is so populated with world-class amazing players, we think we're going to do, because it's usually me, Reese, Laurie and Duncan. So we think we're going to add 2 more people to that.
Well, I'm subbing out.
Oh, Reese is subbing out. Reese is going to referee it.
I like the NRL. I just don't know enough knowledge to pick the players. So
And he's so good at refereeing.
I'm just going to referee. Because I'm thinking, and I just don't say anything for about 5 minutes when it's my pick. So I'm just going to referee.
Sit quietly in the corner and referee it.
Yeah.
So we're going to have like 5 or 6 people on that draft just to kind of spread the quality out a little more. Talking of the draft, I run the Lot 17A Lot Pod account. I create the poll for the draft, and the Super League draft that we've done was won by Duncan. And I don't know about you, Reese, but he seems to win these polls by quite a landslide.
He keeps telling us that he doesn't have enough friends to be able to call ringers in to get this done.
I don't believe him.
Or he's found the secret sauce, which is just pick people that want to fight.
I
don't know.
He's got his formula. The hardest side.
Look, I know my half-back pairing wasn't the best, all right, but I thought I had a great pack. I had a really experienced, versatile leadership pack. I don't think anyone had a bad back line of my half-back pairing. To say that it was like when I looked at it as soon as you tweeted it, within like an hour, Duncan was already like 40%.
I know. It's not. The thing is, it's not. Listen to us. It's not like he wins by like 3 votes, is it?
Yeah.
I haven't got it in front of me.
If Duncan wins the next one, he's going to get promoted. We don't know where he's getting promoted to because no one else does this, but he is going to get promoted.
And we don't know because how many more drafts can you do?
I was thinking the other day whether we could maybe take a pinch to get Paul Cook, Barry McDermott on and get them back on to do their league round.
Their draft. Oh, that's a good idea. I think we need to get Paul Cook back on because just the amount of stories ex-players have.
Yeah. So I wondered if you could do like an ex-players version of the Leeds draft that we originally did.
Of a draft? What a good idea. That'd be good for like a Christmas special, wouldn't it?
So that window Barry, I know you do listen sometimes, Barry, and I don't think Paul does as well, but if you fancy doing it, we're up for it.
Yeah, let us know. So that's the end of my mailbag. Have you got the rest of the mailbag?
Yeah, so this one from Kimber, aka Josh. He did say sorry for the extra work, Reese, but would love to see a form table from Rowan's first game until now and see where we'll be sitting if the season started on the 15th of May. I will have a look at that. I also want to have a look at how Rowan Smith is comparing against the JJB Richard Agar era put together. I might also have a look at your Richard Agar era in 20 and 21 and other seasons as well to see how he's matching up. I think the data goes back to 2011. Right. So I'll be able to get a bit of a matchup. Obviously, a bit more data for the other people, but it'd be interesting to see where our stats are lining up against that.
It's a good question, and it's given Reese lots of work.
Yeah, no, I'm intrigued by it. So Steve's asked us 3 questions. One I'm going to answer straight away. The first one is, would you give Cam Smith the 13 next season? Yep.
I think he'll get it. Who won it? Sorry, Steve.
Yeah, Steve Hodgson, yeah.
I think he'll get it, Steve. I think it's a given, an absolute given. Because Tetevano's not going to get it. If Tetevano's here, well, first of all, that's the biggest mistake we've made. And he should get the last squad number for me. So I think, yeah, he'll definitely get it.
Now, the next one is your favourite Danny Maguire try, but excluding knockout games, finals, and World Club challenges. Now, I've had to do a bit of YouTubing on this one because I think all my favourites for Danny Maguire are probably in those games, and I've just realised probably 2 of the ones that I found are in the Challenge Cup, so I don't know if that counts as a knockout game or not.
Is it there?
It hasn't said that. I don't know if a knockout game means like the playoffs at the Super League, but
I'm going to assume it means.
I had a couple of Danny Maguire favourites. I mean, anything he scored in the grand final, the one against Cass, I really enjoyed because like he just when he kicks over the air, just nicks it out of the pocket out of the air. But have you got any? I've got 3 written down that I've recalled or watched from YouTube today just to remind myself. Have you got any ones? My
favourite that meeting the criteria that Stevens put is one that it's against Wigan. It's 2004. It's Wigan away. It's the one where he does a big swan dive. It's an amazing. I've tweeted it.
Yeah, I think I know which one you mean.
It's It's Wigan away, 2004. I think Danny makes the break as a jinking run, and then I think he passes it inside to Richie Mathers, who almost gets tackled. Keith Senior comes on off his inside shoulder, runs it back inside, and then just as he's getting tackled, he offloads it to Danny, who literally swan dives over the line and scores. I'm not doing that try justice. There'll be people listening to this who will, in the memory, just like, yeah. I know exactly the try you're talking about. For anybody that's not perhaps a little too young or just can't remember it, it is on my Twitter feed, and I will retweet it again. But that's one of my favourites. And to be honest, this sounds a bit mental, but the try he scored against us for Hull KR at Headingley, because it's like, he never, ever, ever should have left us. I'd have to, those words coming from my lips. Everyone's expecting that because of how much I love Danny, but he never should have left us. But the fact that he came back with OKR and just showed us exactly what he's made of and scored against us, I was just like, that's just so cliche that's happened. The fact that just come
written,
back,
wasn't it?
Yeah, comebacks. Because everyone I would go to the games with were like, he's definitely going to score. They're probably going to win, and everything happened. And then at the end of that game, all that happened where he just walked around this whole of Headingley, just clapping because everyone just stands there going, yeah, singing his name still. So I felt that was quite a special moment in that he still had it. He kind of joked this week that because Hull KR so decimated with injuries that he could still play, and I loved it. I love Danny Maguire. It's obvious coming from my mouth, but I am being genuine here when I say he could still play at Super League level. I genuinely believe.
You might actually see it with the rate of Hull KR's
injuries
again.
Honestly,
and I'm being play with 12 men because they ran out of players.
Genuine, yeah.
So the 3 tries I had written down was Challenge Cup against Saints in 2001. It was a really, really dodgy pass on their line, about 78th, 79th minute. Dodgy pass. He picks it up off the ground pretty much from his feet. He dummies and then goes over. And I think we lost that game in the end. I can't remember, but
yeah, we did.
Really like that one. 2003 Challenge Cup. Sinfield breaks through the middle.
In the corner.
Danny takes it in the right, and then he's in the middle of the pitch at this point where he takes the ball. He just steps off his right foot and just completely goes around the winger.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that one. And the other one is because I'm a sucker for set piece tries. Do you remember 2012? We had that pink and blue striped kit, but it was like separated by white bits.
Kev's kick, Salford.
It's against Hull, where it was from a scrum, and I can't remember who it was. Kicked it over the top. It was planned move.
Yeah, it's Kev's kick over scrum, and then Danny.
Yeah, it kicks over from the scrum. They kick straight over.
Yeah.
Because there's no fullback, and it literally just bounces straight into Danny's arms. It goes right underneath it.
It goes in.
But I wrote the 2003 one as my favourite because to beat the winger like he did, when the winger had all the ground on that was the one I wrote down. So
this is a podcast in itself. To be honest, we should just have a Danny Maguire special every week.
If we missed any off, Steve, let us know. That's the ones I got down. Steve's third and final question was Sutcliffe. Do we keep him for 2023 or do we let go?
Cracky. It's like, for me, I still kind of stand. I know he's been in form, but to be fair, what player in form for us at the moment? I still feel that way that if he were to stay, I wouldn't be bothered, and if he were to leave, I wouldn't be bothered. But
I really like Sutcliffe, so I would like him to stay.
You would like him to stay, but
I think he's shown. Yeah, I think the first half of the season this year, he's had to play fullback, standoff at centre. And I've said a number of times when Hanley got all those tries, his centre was Sutcliffe, and I think him and Hanley have a really good relationship. So if that keeping them together, I know he kind of switches Newman and Sutcliffe around a bit at the moment, but. He's on form at the moment, and if Rowan's getting the best out of his players, and that's Sutcliffe, Sutcliffe keeps scoring a try a game, then why wouldn't you want to sign him for 2023?
Precisely.
That's what he's done the last 5. So
I'm sort
I
of
say-
contradicting myself because if he were to leave, we would need to replace him.
Yes, exactly.
So, but
Because, your Levi Edwards, your Max Simpsons, they're good and up and coming,
yeah,
but they're not ready yet.
they're just not ready yet. And
so for me, it'd be, and which may happen because obviously we've seen the rumour, it'd be signing you like a Ricky Latelli for 2 years, maybe a year, as a stopgap with someone that was experienced to keep
give them time.
to give the other time players. So maybe. But for me, I would keep Sutcliffe personally. He's a Leeds lad, he fights for the jersey, knows what it means. And he's
been at the club the longest as well at the moment.
He has.
Longest serving player.
So we've had a number of questions about Manly and their rainbow kit. Just for everyone that isn't aware, the NRL had an LGBTQ round where certain teams had rainbows incorporated into their jerseys. And unfortunately, some Manly players decided that they weren't going to play. I think it was seven. Because of it. But we've got a couple of questions about that, so I'll run through those. And the first question about it from Loina or Laurie is, what would you rate that Manly kit out of 10? Basically, it's the usual Manly kit, but where the white bit is, they replace it with a rainbow.
It's rainbow.
I personally really liked it. It's important. It's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I loved it. I love any. I'm a big fan of limited edition kits anyway. So the fact that they've done one that's for the rainbow round, yeah, absolutely. Well, the proof was in the pudding because I don't think they could print them shirts quick enough.
Well, they sold out at the stadium on the day.
They sold out on the day, and then I was kind of keeping tabs on it, like on a couple of local Manly reporters and things, and on Twitter, and they were like, as soon as they were online, they were gone.
Yeah.
So the proof's in the pudding. It's an absolutely gorgeous shirt. To be fair, Manly shirts are nice anyway. They are. I think they're a really good-looking, unique kit. So, with the rainbow colours added in, the whole everything about it, yeah, I loved it. You're right, 10 out of 10, legit.
So, on the same theme, Duncan asked, do you think it'd be a good idea for Super League to have a rainbow round?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything that promotes inclusivity and people being drawn to the game. I dread to think that there's a young person or a person kind of getting into rugby league or any sport, and this kind of news from Manly drawing them away, especially when they were just kind of coming into it in that they'd only just learnt about the sport. They were just starting to watch it. The momentum were building. Perhaps they were going to either start playing the game or going to attend a game. And this kind of news drove them away. I think that's the failure there.
So which nicely leads me on. So Tom did say that, he loved the win. You think it was one of the greatest Super League games for us for a long time. But he did say he had a more somber question lined up, which was given what had happened with Manly and also with Hull, but I'm not quite sure what had happened with Hull, actually.
I think it was Hull KR fans with some...
Oh, yes, homophobic abuse.
Yeah, homophobic abuse, sorry.
His question, along these same lines, is can Rugby League truly call itself the family game?
Well, not if it's got fans hurling homophobic abuse. I mean, homophobic abuse has been in the game. I mean, I remember going back years now, but Zach Hardaker did it when he were at Leeds and still keeps to rear its ugly head. But I think...
I would like to think the majority abide by that and are that.
Oh, yeah.
As always with anything.
Absolutely.
Bad news or negative news sells more articles, is more clickable than your positive. So, unfortunately, the negativity does stand out. And obviously, Manly's is quite a big negativity this week. But personally, I don't see it that much when I've been to games.
No, I don't.
So I think I'd like to think the majority, Tom, that it is a family game, and it continues to do so. And more importantly, we have a family game on Sunday. It is designated a family day.
Literally a family day. Yeah.
Let's hope we see that on Sunday.
I think the biggest way to kind of address this type of behaviour and things is to continue to do these things like Manly have done and the rainbow rounds. And I know Keithley do loads of great work over at the Cougars, and just to continually keep it at the forefront of people's minds. Don't let anyone forget that everyone's involved and everyone. It's not a sport that's kind of shut off. Sport is for everyone, so I think keeping it fresh and continually doing it kind of like promotes it and pushes everything forward, really.
Cool. So back to the other questions then. So Laurie asked a strange question. Peas, yes or no?
Garden peas, I love them. Mushy peas, I hate them.
Criminal.
Oh, God, I hate them.
Criminal. Peas, yes. Mushy peas, yes. Although when it comes to a chippy, it's always curry sauce anyway. So
Really? Oh, no, gravy.
Fish chips, curry sauce, man. Yeah. And Laurie's final question is, what would be the worst club to transfer to? And I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I wanted to hear you say it anyway.
In rugby league?
He just says worst club, but I'm assuming so, yeah.
In football, it's Scum, obviously. If you are talking football, Laurie. In rugby league, yes, it's definitely Castleford, without a shadow of a doubt. There's nothing there. Castleford is a dive, as in the place is a complete dive, and you'd have to live else. You'd have to live in Leeds. So, yeah, to travel over. So you'd be living in Leeds as a player, and the beauty of the city and everything that comes with it. And then as you travel to Castleford, the world just disintegrates, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, what a mistake I've made."
I'm probably going to say Wigan just because I just become really arrogant, which is reminding me we haven't done the Super League roundup, but we'll do it after the mailbag.
Oh no, we haven't, have we?
We'll do it after the mailbag. Duncan's second question that he asked was, "What would be your last meal?"
Oh Christ!
Do you want
see, I always think you're going to have to be full before you die, aren't you? Because see, I love sushi. But it'd take a lot of sushi to fill me.
I do enjoy yo sushi as well.
Yeah. So, last meal.
I feel like if it was a takeaway, like wouldn't fit. For me, it'd be from my Chinese that I haven't skipped in, which is salt and pepper chicken or pork, depending on the day, chips and curry sauce.
I could just eat that now.
Really. But if it wasn't like a takeaway, I think I've said it before, but a Sunday roast done properly, you can't beat it. And there's one other Clarendon Hotel down at Hebden. They do game restaurant. And God Almighty, their Sunday roast is brilliant. But yeah, go on. What's your last meal?
I'd want to be really full to die. I'm assuming we're dying, by the way.
What's your last meal? Yeah.
Of course, yeah. So I am dying. So I'd want to be really full because I love eating anyway. But I think it'd have to be like the biggest steak imaginable, like cooked to perfection.
Like a big T-bone.
Yeah, like a massive, over the top, like T-Rex size. There's no way you could ever eat it, like T-bone steak. Something like that. Cooked to perfection.
Duncan's last question is, what position would you strengthen next year for Leeds? And our usual answer to this question is prop, and prop.
Prop and prop, my friend, correct.
Six again has given us 3 questions. I feel like Laurie set off the whole 3 questions at a time thing because more people are doing it each week.
Yeah, it's that a thing.
6 again asks, are a dozen better than a baker's dozen? I'm not quite sure what this means.
This is the mailbag. I enjoy saying a baker's dozen, so I'm going to say a baker's dozen. I think a lot of like old sayings, even that predate us, I like going out of fashion. Like you kind of say things now to people Reese's age and younger, and they say, "What do you mean?" It's like, so I'm going to say a baker's dozen. Yeah,
I'm going to go with you because I still don't really understand it. His second question,
smiling wave.
His second question was, will the third best ever Cam Smith ever make it to the second best Cam Smith?
I think it's the second best now because I'm going to assume that the first is the golfer who's just won at the Open.
The Australian golfer.
That's right. So then the second one, he can have that.
He won the Open, didn't he?
Yeah, that's quite a big deal. So he can have that. So then our Cam Smith would be second because the third Cam Smith, that fellow who played for the Storm and Queensland and Australia.
I only know one Cam Smith.
is Australian. So
there's only one.
I know
There's only one Cam Smith.
There's only one Cam. So he's first actually. Yeah, he's first.
He's first. So thanks for that.
He's first.
And the last one is Curly Whirly or a fudge.
Oh my god!
2 of the worst chocolates you ever
Oh,
get.
no, I'm about to say.
Things. Like Curly Whirly takes you about an hour to eat and ruins your teeth.
It all gets stuck in your teeth. It's horrible.
Really does. And you like that? You have to proper jam it out. You
pull it out, and then you start thinking, Jesus Christ, have I chipped a tooth?
Or took a tooth with it. Or
took one with it. Oh my god! Did they still do Curly Whirlies? My mate Reese knows what that is. It seems to be a throwback to the 90s. That Bri.
I'm going to go for fudge just because of the traumatic experience of eating a Curly Whirly.
Yeah, I agree.
I like fudge, but
I don't like fudge at all. But no, yeah, Curly Whirlies are a nightmare to eat. Reese is, hit the nail on the head. A fudge easily.
Andy Simpson, who I believe was at the game this weekend, asked,
"Yes, it was.
To go in Perpignan."
Max Simpson's dad.
Is it Max Simpson's dad?
It is.
He asked, "What's the best bar to go to in Perpignan after a stunning comeback win?" That was 23 hours ago. So I'm assuming, Andy, you've either found it or you're still there.
I'm incredibly hungover on the flight.
I hope you've had a good weekend.
I bet you.
There was a last-minute question from Neil Scarlett. Do you think Saints threw the game at Salford today as they're terrified Leeds could possibly finish regular season as high as 5th?
Yes.
We'll come up with the Super League roundup later on so you can see what happened.
Yeah.
I just fancy doing it from 6th. 5th's a bit boring now. We've done it twice.
That's what I mean. We've done it from 5th, and Super League didn't thank us for doing that. So we'll have to win it from 6th and then see if they thank us for doing that.
Adam asks if Austin is available next week, would you bring him into the team or would you leave it as it is?
God, what a good question.
He's obviously said Hardacre was at fullback with Caesar and Myler in the halves. I think it's a really difficult one as this. And obviously I begrudged Rowan not starting Cam Smith, but then we ended up winning anyway. I've said previously that you never change a winning side.
No, you don't.
But I'm all in on Rowan, so I'm just going to personally.
Me too.
Myler's playing really well. Caesar was brilliant.
Hardacre's playing well.
It's hard to change that team. So I would probably keep it the same and use Austin.
What a question! Oh my god!
But I'm all in for Rowan, so whatever Rowan does, I'm going to be happy with him.
Yeah, whatever Rowan does is right now. But it's like a hindsight question, really, isn't it? Like, if it doesn't play Austin at all, and then something happens in the game, and we're like, "Oh, we could have done with Austin." I trust the process. I'm all in on Rowan. So whatever he decides, personally, I don't. Reese, what Reese said, I don't like changing a winning side. So if you're asking me, I'd leave him out and go with the side that beat Catalan. But if Rowan throws him in, yeah, I'm happy either way.
Andrew Foster says, terrible first 56 minutes, Smith out. I'm not going to dignify that one with a response, Andrew, to be honest.
Merchant.
And the final question is from Philip Clarkson. Will Sam Tompkins become a referee after he retires? Well, I'm assuming he's going to retire now because he got floored by Cam Smith.
Yeah, you don't want to come back from that. You're not going to come back from that, Sam. Not even for World Cup. Just get your sent off. We've got a much better. Will he become a referee?
I'd like to see players become a referee because they understand the game. Well, there's I can't remember his name. Is it Kieran Bracken at Rugby Union? But there's a international referee at the moment from Rugby Union. There's a couple now that have been ex-players internationally and domestically that are now as a referee, and they're very good referees, but it's because they understand the game. Yeah, they've played it, so they understand the physicality and everything. So I think it'd be really interesting. I think I'd love it. Love to see it. I'd like to see it. It's like David Lloyd, Bumble. He played cricket, and then I'm sure he was an umpire. So it has been done. Would you make a good? Well, I'd like to see Sam Tompkins become a referee just as long as he can't referee Wigan games. That's a cut-off point. Catalan. Or Catalan, yeah. Or Leeds. So there's no point in becoming a referee because that's... I just do like that, wouldn't he, the whole thing? So because we're doing things in the wrong order, so I think what it is because it's just me and you this week. It's been me and you talking, so we've just forgotten about the order pretty much in a bit. But we're going to
Really
simply
know what's
round
going
up
on
now to finish off the podcast. We'll talk about some of the league results as well from other teams as well. But Thursday night, Wigan stuffed Hull. KR 46-4.
Did
KR are struggling. I think there was a terrible dislocated knee in that game as well. They're down to the bare bones now, aren't they? They're really down to the bare bones.
Yeah, they are. He's going to have to come out of retirement.
He might have to. That's not arrived. Primark quick enough. And then Friday night, Friday night there was 2 games. What I thought was quite a surprise, to be honest. Toulouse 6, Hull 30.
I know. Just when you felt Toulouse were.
Yeah, 3 on the bounce. I thought they were really coming.
I really hoped so. Hull just didn't get the memo for the greater good.
And then
probably
the other game, and then the other game in that, which and I did watch this game, was Cass 6, Wakefield 32, which was a brilliant game to watch because so Lewis Murphy had a really hard game against us.
Yeah, it looks like a superstar in the making, to be honest.
Won his second try, I think it was. He absolutely skinned Jake Mamo. Like it was the confidence in him to sprint into a little skip and pin his ears.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
I love seeing that.
I can't remember which pundit was telling him off for celebrating 15 metres to go, but it's the Wakey Cast derby. Like if he's going to score a whole lot for a try, let him do it.
Brian Hall did that. One of the biggest stages, didn't he? Against Huddersfield. They were like that, screaming before he even.
Yusuf Aiden had a good game in that game as well, I noticed, but Cass never turned up.
He didn't get
in the other comeback on the weekend on Saturday, I think Warrington were winning 22-6 or 22-10 or something like that. Anyway, they lost 32-22 to Huddersfield. The Daryl Parrell blame card bingo was getting bigger because he's just finding even more excuses. I think someone replied to one of my tweets saying it's the players. I went, well, even if it is the players, it's his squad. He's got to manage it.
He chose these stupid players like Peter Matautia and Oliver Holmes, who are rubbish at cast. They've always been rubbish, and he decides to up sticks and take them to bloody Warrington and expects them to be any better.
I think there was one thing I saw where the props, I think one of them, the highest amount of meters one of their props made was 38 meters. I think Oliver Holmes made 10.
Wow. Well done, Oliver. That's a career high.
And apparently they didn't concede 30 games at all last year. 30 points at all last year. And they've done it like 7 or 8 times this year now. So in week round 21 of the Daryl Parrell sack race, who's currently against himself really at the moment because Willie Poach has put himself back up there. I'm actually quite pleased. I think Wakefield will probably be safe now. Actually, I think.
Yeah, I think unfortunately,
I
think Toulouse is done. Yeah,
it's not because I don't like Wakey, but I think Toulouse being in the league really adds something.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I think the sack race is purely with Daryl Powell at the moment. Warrington fans, I don't know, won't be any listening to this, but if they ever do listen to this, I'll be really intrigued to know what you think. Because, like, seriously, I don't understand how he's still got a job.
I don't. I've asked the question on this pod, must be 5, 6, 7, maybe even 10 times about is this Daryl Powell's last game? And people kind of say, no, I think they're going to give him this year and give him next year. But I just don't see the change in. If this were Leeds, I'd be like, just put this guy out of his misery now and get someone new because. Well, first of all, Daryl Powell is a perennial loser. He's a choker. He doesn't win the big game. He'll never win the big game. He's like the best. He was perfect for Cass in that choking, like kind of mentality. I don't see what Warrington. I don't know. I think even next year with Maguire and Vaughan and Cassiano and Gil Dudson and everyone else to sign, I just can't see it working. At all. Maybe I'll be wrong, but
just going back to the bash, by the way, Andy Walker commented at the time. So sorry, Andy, I've only just put this up, but he said that the students were on the Otley run, so Headingley was absolutely packed and queuing to get into everywhere around the ground. So maybe that affected the crowds a bit there. Obviously, after the Warrington game, we played and we won. 36-32, never in doubt. And then in probably was the biggest shock of the weekend.
Unbelievable, this. Again, not televised.
Salford 44, St. Helens 12. They were 26-0 up at half-time. Apparently, Tim Maffei had a game and a half, apparently.
Yeah.
So, table-wise, what does that do? Well, Saints are 4 points ahead of Wigan. Huddersfield stay third, 3 points behind Wigan. Salford now move up to 6th on 20 points. Hull are on 20 points. In 7th, we're 1 point behind on 19th. In 8th, and then KR on 18th. So there's only there's 2 points separating 4 teams, and you can even include Cass in that because Cass are on 22. Yeah. So those final 2 player spots are really up for grabs for anyone.
It doesn't. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, go on. I was going to move on. So
it doesn't seem to matter how rubbish Hull are. They just seem to stay there, don't they? They lose games, and then it's like you can't get rid of Hull. It seems like they've had the worst season imaginable, and yet there they are. It's like, how are they still lingering in the playoffs? It's like,
and then obviously at the bottom end of the table, Toulouse are on 10 points now, Wakefield are on 12, and Warrington are on 14. So I don't think Warrington are involved in it, but you never know. Some results this weekend that we never thought of seeing. I didn't expect Wakey to do that to Cass. I didn't expect Salford to do that to Saints, which sets up a really tasty game on Sunday. Big family day. Kids are £5. I don't know if you've seen the Leeds Rhinos Stormtrooper helmet thing advertising a family day. So kids are £5, adults are still 24 quid. But the women are playing beforehand as well. So we're 3 o'clock off. It's a Sunday, so hopefully the majority of us won't be working. So get down, see the women earlier on, and then come and obviously stay for the men. Speaking of the women, they beat Huddersfield 82-0.
82-0. It's a whitewash.
Bit of a plug here. They haven't asked me to do this, but there is a Leeds Rhinos Women's Supporters Club or Supporters page that goes through things. They are tweeting live things as the game goes on, probably more than the Leeds Rhinos page does. So give that a follow. I think it's LRWSKC, but just put Leeds Rhinos Women's Supporters and you'll find it on there. Give them a check out and follow to keep track of the women.
Yeah, they do some good work.
And then the wheelchair team, unfortunately, lost to Halifax today, 79-46. But I think from speaking from you in the past, we know Halifax are quite a strong team.
Yeah, they've got a lot. They've got a massive squad of Halifax, so they're a good side.
So competitive, but unlucky Ewan and the rest of the team. But obviously, good luck for your next matches as well. And was there a reserves match, or there was definitely a scholarship match? I think at some point. I'm just going to do some.
Yeah, the reserves played. Last night?
I don't think it was. Was it the under-18s?
18s, sorry.
No, was it under-16s? Oh, they've not updated the fixtures yet. Or was it a friendly? The under-16s played on Thursday the 28th. They beat Cass 54-24.
Well done. Getting one over Cass. We love that.
Cool. I think that's everything, Lottie.
I think that's the lot, my friend, on the Lot Pod. We will be back to review Leeds versus Salford. Quite an intriguing game, especially after our result and then their shock result. I mean, it's one of those where if we do win this one, I think the charge for the playoffs, we think it's on anyway, but other people will be believing.
We've arranged transport to pick me up to Old Trafford. So.
Yeah, let's get this minibus for everyone to jump on to get to Old Trafford.
Everyone else that lives my way, I'll be the out of the area pickup.
Just to finish, prediction for Salford, Reese. You think we're going to win this one?
I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I do. I'm looking forward to it. Really,
we've got players back. I think it's going to be a really entertaining game. I think we're probably talking a 30 points to 22, something like that, 30 points, 24. I'm going to go for a 6-point win, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but a 6-point winning margin for us.
I think we're going to win easily. Let's do it anyway. I think we'll win by, 22. Leeds by 22. Heard it here first. We're driving that Rowan playoffs train straight through to the grand final. Well, thanks everybody for listening to the Lock Pod. Do follow Reese on
I'm
Twitter.
1 off 400. A 1 off
One off
400.
400. If you're
someone give me
listening
number
to this
400.
live, just go ahead and, if you're not following him,
The
at
owl, at
Fleece,
the owl and fleece.
give him a follow because he does some amazing work with the stats, and they're all on there on that Twitter page. Thanks for listening. If you do want to get involved on Twitter, at Lot17A, at the Owl and Fleece, and we'll see you the next podcast, which is the Salford Match Review panel. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you soon.